At this point, joining me on the broadcast is a very special guest, Douglas MacGregor, former senior advisor to the U.S. Secretary of Defense. He is also a Gulf War combat veteran and PhD in international relations. Appreciate very much your being here. I have to begin by asking you for your comments on what just unfolded with the war now spilling beyond West Asia. Also, help us understand who really is in charge and controlling the war right now. Is it the U.S. or Israel? Is it Trump or is it Netanyahu?
These are very good questions. We need to understand that the United States is trying to bomb Iran, a country half the size of India, into submission to Israel's demands. There is no strategy. This is producing a catastrophe, and the world is paying for it. Right now, the Straits of Hormuz are closed. That's not likely to change. And if we try to interfere with that, we'll lose whatever ships we send through it. And that's a disaster for India because 50% of your oil, 60% of your liquefied natural gas all come through the Straits of Hormuz. And in the meantime, the Iranians are hitting Israeli citizens now, or cities now, with missiles that are flying at 4,000 miles per hour. You can't stop them. You can't shoot them down. Iran has already struck 27 American military bases. Iron Dome can't stop them. Nothing can. A single drone flew more than 1,000 miles and destroyed a British base in Cyprus. Some estimates say that we have perhaps 450 interceptor missiles left in the region. Iran has 10,000, and that number is rising. That's just one category of missiles. So I don't know where President Trump is getting his numbers, but that's simply ridiculous. And I think we have to understand that this war is being fought for one reason and only one reason. And that is that Mr. Netanyahu, with the aid of Zionist billionaires in the United States, has successfully gained control of the policymaking apparatus in Washington, D.C., and is dragging the United States into war.
So are you then saying that this is no longer America first, as Trump has been touting? It now has, in a way, become Israel first there in the United States.
The United States doesn't really play in this. America first is dead as far as this administration is concerned. This is Israel first. And the problem for all of this, as you know, is this is not just an energy story for India and other nations that depend on Gulf oil. It's a food security story. India's national security is on the line. European gas is up 50% and climbing. A global recession is no longer a forecast, it's a reality. There's no end in sight to this militarily. This is going to continue for weeks unless someone steps up, and I don't expect that to happen in the United States, and helps to broker a ceasefire and an end to the conflict.
Trump has also said that if necessary, the United States Navy will begin escorting tankers through the Strait of Hormuz. How feasible is that plan according to you?
It's not. It's ridiculous. The notion that we would send any combatant ships through the Straits of Hormuz is an invitation to disaster. The Iranians will sink them. In fact, we've moved our carrier battle groups as far as we possibly could out of range of their missiles, which of course has created a logistical nightmare for us. We have logistical problems anyway. We don't have access to all the bases that we formerly used. We've got to fall back on Europe. Once again, there's no strategy. There was no planning. There was no thinking. Did President Trump call President Modi or the Prime Minister of Japan or the President of South Korea and ask them, how is this going to affect you? This is going to harm you. We need to know before we do anything. He did nothing of the kind. This is a disaster that's not just regional, it's becoming global.
Right. I also have to ask you, what do you make of Iran's resistance right now? Also, the way Iran's drones particularly are becoming a headache for the United States. Did America not anticipate this would happen?
You know, these kinds of things could have been anticipated. We've watched drone warfare develop inside Ukraine during the war between Russia and Ukraine. We have an appreciation for it on what I would call the battlefield level or tactical level. We completely excluded the possibility of its operational and strategic impact. And so, no, we were not prepared at all. The bottom line is this, I think. As we look at the Persian Gulf today, the American era in the Gulf is really ending. This war is going to sweep the United States out of the Persian Gulf. The damage is enormous. Will it be rebuilt? We'll see. Will it be financed? Who knows? Someone will shape it. My point is this. We're learning the hard way that sovereignty in 2026 means, do you control your own fuel, your food, your fertilizer, and your defense supply chains? Right now, I would argue the world needs India. We need a trusted, neutral voice with relationships in Tehran, Moscow, Beijing, and Washington simultaneously. Only India really fits that description. No other major power has that capability. So I sincerely hope that the Indian government will realize whether it likes it or not, it's being dragged into this war. And they need to be the ones to stand up and help get us out of it.
Right. Pete Hegseth also earlier claiming that this is, of course, what he said just a while ago, that the US and Israel, he claims, will have complete air domination of Iran within a week's time. Do you really see that happening?
No. We have it right now over northwestern Iran. Can we extend it over the whole country? I don't know. I think it's going to take time. Remember, Iran is half the size of India. And Iran has developed what we call distributed command and control. And they have missile facilities, launch facilities, air and missile defense facilities all over that country. We don't even know with certainty where they all are. So we're trying to find them, but we're not having much impact on them. And the numbers of missiles and drones that are being launched against us in the Gulf, in the entire Middle Eastern region, is actually rising. More and more are being launched. So I don't know where President Trump gets these estimates. I suppose he's getting them from the Department of War, but I have no idea. I just don't see any evidence for these claims that are being made right now.
What about China and Russia? What role do you see them playing here?
Well, China is involved already. Now, the Chinese have built up an enormous strategic reserve of oil. So the shutdown of the Persian Gulf is not nearly as damaging to China as many anticipated. There were actually foolish people in America that thought this war might be a good idea because it would harm China. It's harming India, it's harming Japan, South Korea. It's not harming China at this point. The Chinese are not going to allow Iran to be utterly destroyed. Neither will Russia. And that's very, very obvious because Iran has a critical role to play, not just in the region, but globally. They're part of BRICS. They're part of the One Belt, One Road project, which is designed to ultimately connect all the nations on the Eurasian continent. So they're not going to allow that to happen. Now, at what point do they involve themselves? I don't know. The more important question at this stage is, when does Israel say it's had enough? Israel is being utterly destroyed. And when do the Israelis stand up and say, if this doesn't stop, we will use a nuclear weapon? That's my concern, because that would be a catastrophe for the world.
All right, we're leaving it there for the moment. Thanks very much for being here and sharing those perspectives.
Thank you.